Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, I'm unable to see everyone. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
I
yes,
can see
perfect.
it.
Awesome, thank you. So, a very, very warm welcome to you all. Just give me a thumbs up if we can begin. Pia, if you can let me know, or are we waiting for any more people? I think a few people are joining right now, so maybe we can wait for another moment or so. So those who are comfortable in keeping their video on, please feel free to do that. And those who are not, I mean, that's all right. So as people are joining, maybe if anyone has any specific questions for today, because the topic is really interesting. It's about introduction to mindfulness for children. So I'm assuming most people who are joining us today have children of their own or work with children or have some close family members who they are keen to kind of work with. If you have any specific questions, feel free to put it on the chat or even just, put the hand sign and we can talk about it. I like to have most of my workshops and training programs very interactive so it can involve everyone. On Zoom, that sometimes can be a challenge, but if you guys would like something, more than happy to kind of take care of that. And feel free to put it on the generic chat, or even if you need to put a private chat if it's something which you don't want to share in the open forum. I can take care of that as well. Okay, so I'm not sure if I could start. If whoever if someone can let me know if it's a good time to start. We can begin now, Pia tells me. Okay, great guys. Warm, warm welcome to each one of you. My name is Bharti, and I'm just gonna spend a few moments letting you know what I do so that it just gives you a good, fair idea. So, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist with Illuminations, and I work with a lot of behavioral and energetic approaches, including mindfulness, including Reiki, chakra healing. I do a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy work with children, adolescents, adults, with all of them. And basically, I'm very, very inquisitive about how the mind functions and how we can use the mind in the best possible way for ourselves to be most productive, to be most successful, and most important, to be most happy, right? So that's the premise on how I've been working. Basically understand how can you expand the mind and expand the heart so you can have the best life experiences. I use a lot of approaches, a lot of tools for that. And today we're going to discuss how mindfulness as a concept as well as a practice. When I say practice, I don't only mean like, okay, you sit down and you do the practice, but as you practice mindfulness through your day to day life, how it can massively benefit you. Okay, so can I ask the ones who have joined here if anyone has practiced mindfulness before? If that's okay by you all, if anyone can unmute and just, perhaps let me know if you've practiced mindfulness or meditation before.
Not really. Not
Um,
really.
not really.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else has practiced? Perhaps not. Okay, no worries. We're gonna understand um, how to do it ourselves. Only then we can practice it with our children, of course. Okay, so let me take you through a small experience, and there will be a lot of experiential work in it as well. So like I mentioned, if you have a question, feel free to post it. You can, put on your video if you like, or whatever's comfortable for you. Okay, so why mindfulness? Okay, and I'm talking specifically with regards to children here because that's our topic and I'd like to stay on board with it. So, there are many, many benefits for mindfulness, and I'm going to take you through the book dictionary of mindfulness as well as we move ahead. But let me share with you why the approach of mindfulness is good for children. One, of course, you just are a happier person when you are a more mindful person, which includes adults, children's alike. Okay, when you are more mindful, your general approach to life is more empathetic, you are more resilient, your ability for clarity, your ability for focus is a lot more. Okay, so you can remain more focused rather than ruminating all the time. And some of you might ask, what is ruminating? Any given moment, if you have decided you want to do something, say for example right now you are attending this seminar, okay, but at the same time your awareness may be drifting to 10 other areas. What you have to do right after the seminar gets over, do I really need to attend the seminar, whatever agenda I have after that, what kind of meetings I have to do after that, it's the weekend, what plans do I have for the weekend? So as the mind or as the awareness is moving from what you have chosen to do right now, but while you are doing that, the awareness keeps moving to different areas. So that's rumination. And the rumination can happen in the past, it can happen in the future. Rumination can be random, rumination can make you worry, it could instill fear, so on and so forth. So your awareness, when it is not on what you have chosen in that moment to do, and it moves to different spaces, that decreases productivity, that reduces focus and attention, and it basically ends up draining you or making you less productive. Okay, it's very important for your own self regulation, because only when you can take charge of where your awareness moves is when you are able to kind of do that in your day to day life afterwards. Okay, so there are many, many benefits. I've just listed a few ones here which are relevant to most children. And of course, stress. I mentioned stress here. So it's important that we have an environment or we have an approach which is stress free for ourselves as well as for our children. Okay, yeah. Give me 1 second. I think someone has sent me a message here. Okay. All right. Okay. What is our goal from today's seminar workshop that we have right now? One is, how can you inculcate the habit of mindfulness in your children, or depending on the age of your children, or depending on the age of the children that you choose to work with, the techniques may vary. So if anyone wants to share what age their kids are, I could probably build in more. For now, I've built in for the primary years, as well as to some extent you can kind of shift it into your teenagers or young adults as well. But if you have anything specific, feel free to mention that to me. Okay, so our goal, like I mentioned, is to allow ourselves, and especially parents as well, to build more listening ears, observant sight on what's really happening in front of you, a quieter mind, and happy hearts. Okay, that's what we're going to focus on. And if you look at it, that is the recipe for a happy family. Okay, when everyone is tolerant to each other, when everyone is listening to each other, when everyone can see what they need to see and not read into it or go back and forth of past and future experiences, and the ability to be happy in the moment. Okay, just a little, idea here for you. Differentive responses, yeah. So whenever everything in life is a stimulus, everything begins with a thought, and there is always a stimulus which causes us to have a certain reaction. Okay, whenever you are not mindful, or whenever you are feeling scattered, or whenever habitually you are used to a certain way of being, your reaction can be pretty harsh, or your reaction can come out in ways that later on you yourself may say, oh, I really didn't need to react like that. And more so with children, because the best thing about children is, first and foremost, if they are surrounded by not so mindful adults, they tend to duplicate the same patterns. So even though right now I talk about kids and I put imagery of kids here, try and relate this to yourself, because to make someone do something, you have to first experience it, or you have to at least practice it with them or for them to be able to make it habitual for themselves. So simple image here, straight away, this, when someone has triggered you, you can, the first instance could be to go ahead and trigger them back in the same way. But with a mindful approach, there's a pause, and that's what I'm really looking at, and that's what I want you to understand, that when you are more mindful, your instant reaction is not of aggression, your instant reaction is not of just, just exploding what's come inside of you, but to just pause, step back, and notice or observe what really happened there. Okay, so this image, like I said, can kind of help you with that, to understand. It leads to more, how do you say that, it leads to more compassion as well as more empathy. Yeah, a lot of more empathy for those around you when you yourself feel stable enough not to react. And most family dramas or miscommunication or general bickering, so to speak, that happens when one reacts without really understanding what the other was saying, whether it's with siblings, whether it's with parents and children, whether it's with parents amongst each other as well. Yeah, so just taking that pause, stepping back and noticing what is the trigger here, why is it, or what is the stimulus here, why is it triggering me to react this way, and can I do it a little bit more differently, and if I can do it a little bit more differently, what would that be? And that's the new neuro pathway that you need to kind of create over a period of time with practice. How do we do that? I will share with you some simple examples which you can make as, just activities at home, fun with the kids at home, that can help them to learn these things. So these images again are very powerful. They are reflecting various emotional states that we go through. Through the day, we go through various states of emotions. Some are very transient, as in, when I say that, I mean they just simply pass. But with some kids, it's noticed that they tend to remain in a certain negative space, or a very sad space, or very angry all the time, or very triggered all the time. Why is it that some kids feel like that, and what can we do to kind of change it for them? The thing is that a lot of children who feel extremely triggered are feeling so because something within them is creating havoc, and the outside environment is only, it's like you have a raw wound, and if someone touches the wound, the fact that someone touched it by mistake is not the reason why you are paining. You are paining because the wound is already there. And the person who by mistake touched it, or even knowingly touched it, was only a fraction of the reason that you had the pain. The pain was coming because the wound was already there. Okay, so with kids also, whenever we are looking for any kind of change or transformation, specifically emotionally or mentally as we speak, we need to understand where they already are. And to understand where they already are, you need to have that awareness about the child. What is their general nature of holding on to emotions? Is it someone who bottles up emotions, or it's someone who kind of spills everything all the time? What are the key triggers that kind of gets the child? So it's important to kind of have a little bit of understanding, and that will help you to make your child more and more mindful about their emotions, experiences, relationships, school, and so on. Okay, the premise that we usually work is that your outer world is a reflection of your inner self. What this basically means is that everything that's happening outside of your life, all experiences, good, bad, ugly, happy, whatever is happening outside, that's not a coincidence. It's not because you are in a certain space, or you are in a certain, with certain people. It's, you are with certain people and you are in a certain situation because of what's going on inside your own mind space. So if you can create more awareness about what's going on in your mind, what kind of thoughts do you constantly have, what kind of beliefs are modeling your behavior for you, then it is far more easier to change what's happening outside of us. Okay, so all bad behavior, good behavior, it comes from the quality of thoughts that the children as well as the caretakers are brewing in their own mind. Okay. And again, I will just say that if anyone has any questions, feel free to post them or just put on your video and just be part, be part of the entire thing. Okay, I'm going to take you through a very interesting model. This is relevant for you as adults as well as in the way you conduct yourself with children. And this is great information to empower your own kids. Okay, so let's take the four components, which is basically thoughts, emotions, energies, and your physical body and your physical reality, so to speak. Everything, like I mentioned, begins with a thought. The minute you have a thought, there's an image that's created in the mind. Now, whenever you hold a certain thought, it will create an emotion for you. So if I was to say dog right now, and if you have a pet who you completely love and adore, instantly your emotion will be a very soft or a happy emotion. Okay, you will feel fondness towards your pet. If a dog had bitten someone, say yesterday, and I say dog, instantly your emotion would be of wanting to be frightened, or you would feel very, very negative about it, or you would feel very scared about it. Okay, whenever we have an emotion, what it's doing is it's playing with our energy, because our emotion is nothing but energy in motion. Okay, so our energy, which is the fact that what we feel, how we are experiencing life, okay, that energy keeps getting shifted with the quality of thoughts and the momentum of emotion that we are going through. And then this energy, it then reflects or imprints on our physical body. That is why we have pain. Otherwise, what sense does it make that my stress about my work or my presentation that I need to put in tomorrow is causing me neck and headache today? It doesn't make sense. My body is independent, right? So why is it that I'm feeling this pain? Why is it that when I get extremely nervous, my hands are trembling or shivering, right? So it's all interrelated, it's all correlated. Whenever we have a certain thought, it will create an emotion, and that emotion will influence our energy, and that energy will determine our physical experience as well as how we feel in our physical body. And what's interesting to note is that you can use this model to understand sudden changes of behavior in your kids. Okay, a very easy example is when a child is told, when they're in the middle of maybe watching TV or chatting on the phone with their friends, and they are instantly told, I'm switching off the Wi-Fi. Why is it that that one trigger can suddenly create a spiraling emotion downward, stamping feet, resulting in a headache, resulting in anger, and so on and so forth? Because that one thought, which came as a stimulus, came and generated an emotion. Now that emotion was, why can't I be allowed to do what I want to do? And that causes them to feel negative, sad, angry, helpless, or whatever it may be. When those feelings happen, the energies become, very contracted. And when the energies become contracted, the drama unfolds, the anger unfolds, the sadness unfolds, crying happens, tantrums happen, and so on and so forth. So whenever this happens, realize what is the key emotion that's getting triggered, and can we somehow, either through, general conversationally, either through doing visualization, drawing, how can we try and reach the core of what is triggering that emotion? And of course, if it's a very serious situation and we're not talking about just day-to-day stuff, then it's always a good idea to take help from a professional who can actually help the child not to feel like that, if it's like a very regular day-to-day drama unfolding that happens. And this can happen across ages, all the way from a 2-year-old who's just getting a grip of their identity to a 18-year-old, and of course beyond, as we know. Okay, so just a little bit of a background to kind of make you understand why mindfulness works. Because when we are mindful, the gap or the pause between the thought and the trigger, the reaction, is kind of expanded. There is awareness, there is observation, and there is no attachment. Okay. Okay. I want to take you through two very interesting experiments to make you understand how the power of the mind works. Why is it that all these, new age terms, mindfulness, breath work, and all, why is it that they really help us? So I want you to understand there was this Japanese scientist by the name of Dr. Emoto, and he did a lot of experiments with water. Okay, his experiments were always to kind of express the idea that the power of thought, the power of intention, the power of emotion can create structural changes, which goes to say that what we talk to our kids, what our kids repeat to themselves, will shape the way they think about themselves and the way they look at the world outside and influence the world outside. Okay, so this example, I mean, this experiment was a very, very interesting one. What he did, from the same source, he took 3 samples of water. Okay, he stored the water, and every single day he would come, and everything was the same, right? So the same source of the water, it was stored in the same kind of container, same temperature, same structure, everything was same for those 3 different samples of water. And the only thing that was different is that he would go to the water every day, and to one sample he would say, I give you love, I love you. And basically feel the emotion of love and feel it reaching that water. He would say it physically, verbally. To the other sample of water, he would go and he would probably give gratitude. I thank you for being what you are. I thank you for all the qualities you have. I thank you for the properties you have. I thank you for, being a lifesaver. Expressing gratitude every single day. And he did all of this for 21 days or 40 days, I'm forgetting, but it was done for a specific period of time. So 21 days or 40 days. And to the third sample of water, again, remember, everything was same, right? But the only thing he did here was he would go with anger and say nasty words like, you're not good enough, I hate you, nothing is great about you, you can't do anything right. So basically taking out all the hatred towards this water. Then these samples were frozen, and then they were basically checked under the microscope. And of course, we know water has crystalline structure. So when they checked the structure of all these 3 samples, the structures are right here in front of you, and you can research on this experiment about Dr. Emoto. There's a lot of documentaries on it. There is even a official web page about all his experiments. He's done more than one experiments. And why this is so important is that we know that human beings, we are more than 60-70% water ourselves. So every day, what we are thinking, what we are being told, what we are being affirmed by those around us, whether it's our siblings, whether it's our parents, whether it's our teachers, that is shaping our own crystalline formation, that is changing our energy, that is changing the way we think about ourselves, about our bodies, about our skills, about our talents, about everything. So words play a huge role. So what we are feeling towards our children, what we truly believe about them, what we say to them, they are picking up on it. Okay, and sometimes we say, oh, okay, the child is so small, what are they going to really understand? I can be sitting and talking something about them, or giving some very, very critical feedback to somebody else about them, and it would all be done in a good meaning way from our end. But the child can pick up on the energy, the child can pick up on the emotions. So it's always a good idea to be mindful ourselves, to be able to bring out the best versions of our own children. Okay, so that is one. He did a similar experiment even with rice. Okay, and this is also an interesting one. As you can see here, same source, 3 samples of rice, kept with the same kind of structure, sunlight, daylight, everything was same for the same period of time. And once after a period of time when you opened it, the one rice was fragrant, it was absolutely fine. The one with gratitude was also absolutely fine. And the one which was ignored, wherein it was made to feel inconsiderate, it was made to feel that no one's even looking at it, it was made to feel left out. Okay, it was absolutely filled with fungus, and it was just you will not be able to see it or use it in any form. So that was another way to show how structurally things can change and shift. Okay, just awareness is key here. So we know that power of the human mind is that it creates your own reality. And I'll take you through different experiences here now to make you understand how we can actually go through these transformations and changes. This is an interesting image. Okay, so are you mindful or are you mindful? And that's what most of the time is happening. Our kids a lot of times get triggered because while we are physically with them, mentally we are not with them. Our mind is full of all other agendas, all other to-do lists, and so on and so forth. And kids tend to be, usually up to a certain period of time in life, physically present with the body. Because remember one thing, your body is always present in the now. It's your awareness that can keep ruminating into the future or the past. Okay? All right. Anybody, any questions so far? Feel free to come online or put it on the chat if you like. So I would think that we move on. Either everything I'm saying is going through or everything I'm saying is going above. So if it is going above, please chip in and let me know. Okay, because if you're here and you're spending your time here for whatever reason, it would be a good idea to kind of take in whatever suits best for you. Okay, so just taking you through the actual definition which John Kabat-Zinn gave for mindfulness. Mindfulness is paying attention, and every word here has a lot of significance. All right, so paying attention in a particular way. Oh, sorry, one second. Yeah, paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, in a non-judgmental way. Okay, and this was shared by John Kabat-Zinn. What is paying attention in a particular way? It means having the ability to direct your attention at will. And this is something which happens all the time. I may be choosing to eat my food right now, okay, and that's a choice I've made. But as I'm trying to eat my food, if my awareness suddenly says, oh, I left all those items in the cart, let me quickly make the payment and get that order going. Oh, I need to send this message in to my school, my kids' school, so that they can put him or her on the bus today. Okay, so as your awareness goes to multiple places, it is against your will because you had chosen in that moment to focus on eating your food. And if you put your entire awareness on eating your food, you will be mindful to eating that food in that moment. Similarly, if you want to sit and draft an email for work, but at the same time you are trying to schedule a soccer lesson for your child or trying to book a helper for the weekend, you are not being mindful to the email that you were actually planning to send out, which would obviously, it can result in so many errors. It can result in low productivity. It would take you more time to complete the task at hand because your awareness is getting split in more than one ways. Okay, on purpose basically means focused intention and motivation, that it was my intention to focus on this email right now. It is my intention to focus on feeding myself right now, and that is what I choose to do. And if my motivation to do so is strong, I will have the ability, and it will take time, I will build a practice to be able to keep my awareness on what I have chosen. multitasking has become supremely famous, but at one level, it is not really productive to be multitasking, because our brain structurally also does not have the capacity to do more than one thing at the same time. So it does not take two instructions, it takes one, then it kind of stops that, then it goes to the new one, then it comes back. So think about it, it's like you're taking your car and you're going to Spinneys to get some bread, and then you reach Spinneys, you get the bread, and then you come back because you realize that you also want to pick up laundry. So you go to the laundry, which is on the other end of Springs, and you pick that up, and then you realize, oh, but I want to go to Spinneys and get some milk. So you're going back to Spinneys. Your car will be out of fuel in no time because you did not go to Spinneys and buy all the 8 things together. You kept moving from one thing to the other. You came, you went, and you kept doing that back and forth. And that is very, very depleting. It's very, very draining. And many a times, even children, because they do not see it happening around them, they get into the same habit of kind of trying to multitask and feeling that they are doing a lot by doing too many things at the same time. But the earlier we cultivate the habit of actually mindfully putting yourself with focused intention, with focused motivation into that one activity, and then finishing that activity and checking it off the mental list or the physical list. I'm a huge promoter of the physical list because it takes away pressure on the mind space. Okay, in the present moment, which means right now in the present, not what you had to do 5 minutes earlier, not what you have to do 10 minutes later, but in this present moment, what have I chosen to experience, what have I chosen to do right now, and kind of taking care of that, and in a non-judgmental way, which basically means with an attitude of acceptance and openness without any emotional charge. So when I am trying to work with my child, maybe on their university applications or even their kindergarten homework, wherever you are on that journey, but in that moment, without getting emotionally charged about how good or bad they have done something or how much better they can do something, and moving that awareness into how it can be or it should be, but simply focusing on what is happening right now without an emotional charge. In this moment, we are filling this university application. How can I be so mindful that the previous application that we filled, which was rejected, should not affect what we are doing right now? Whatever learnings we had to take from that, we have already taken, but constantly bringing it up, but in that one, you didn't do it right, or that you've not focused on, is not going to make you more productive or better in this moment of time. Okay, so that's the breaking up of the definition of how it works. Mindfulness practices, there are many mindfulness practices. This is a very simple example that I'm sharing with you that you can work with as well. Choose a time and space. Okay, 4-step practice. You can do anytime, you can do it with your children, you can encourage them to do it. Choose a certain time every day for a simple mindfulness meditation practice. And in this, all you do right now is that you put your awareness on your breath and keep noticing your breath. And every time you notice that the awareness moves from the breath, you bring it back to the breath. Again, the awareness will move from the breath, you bring it back to the breath. Okay, we can do a certain exercise if we do have the time and we can manage it. Is it possible for some of you to, if possible, put on your videos so that we can do the exercise as we go along? Because I would be unable to see you guys, then we will not be able to do the exercise. Okay, thank you. That's Chintan. Thank you very much. Anybody else who can? Awesome. I can see Mercy as well. Thank you, Mercy. All right. Okay, we're gonna give it a shot maybe. If anybody else can come online, that would be amazing. Because as I see you, it's easier for me to work with you. Thank you, Gloria. That's awesome. Okay. So I'm going to do something which you'll be like, okay, what's the big deal in it? But it's a very powerful practice. And if you can do this regularly, even for like a minute at a time, it would be amazing. So what you do is just for a moment, make yourself comfortable. Okay. And I'm going to put a timer for 1 minute here. And I'm going to just request you to focus on your breath for that 1 minute. So let's begin now. If you can just for 1 minute, close your eyes. Take a deep breath to start with. And now once your eyes are closed and you are focusing on your breath, keep your awareness on the breathing. I want you to notice how it feels as you inhale and then exhale. Noticing how it feels as you inhale and exhale. And as you're trying to do that, just notice where your mind is wandering. Notice if there are thoughts coming up. Notice if you are thinking about something in the future, some deadline. Just keep becoming aware of what's coming up for you. Just 5 seconds left. Just keep the awareness on the breath. And then slowly and gently. Okay. Okay, you can stop. Yeah. Okay, you can stop and you can open your eyes into the moment. Now, usually the next thing we do after this exercise is when you were trying to focus on your breath, was it easy to focus on the breath or was the awareness moving into different places? What am I doing? It's a waste of time. I need to have so much work done. What was going on in your mind at that point of time? Was it simple, easy, or was it difficult? If anyone can either off their mute and let me know or put it on chat just so that we have an idea.
Since we are in the office, I can hear a lot of people talking around.
It was difficult to focus, yeah, because we're
Yeah.
inside the office. Understand. And this happens on a day-to-day basis with us, right? Because in the real life, there's always noise. So the awareness keeps drifting. So actually, that's a good place to work because that's where one always is. We're going to do this practice one more time, and I'm going to give you a tip this time, okay? Again, only for a minute, not more than that. So, in the midst of chaos where you are right now, do the same thing. I'll put on the timer for 1 minute. Notice your breath. Every time you hear a sound or every time your mind wanders, your mind doesn't wander, actually, your awareness wanders. So, every time your awareness wanders, the only thing you do is simply say the word breath or present and come back to the breath. And try that 1 or 2 more times. Just noticing your breath in and out. I will put the timer for you one more time. And let's start. Closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, and then breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Every time the awareness drifts, say the word present or breath and come back to the breath. Ten more seconds left. Keep returning back to the breath. And just notice between the two exercises if when you kept bringing the awareness back, was it easy or was it not? And try and do this exercise a couple of times during the day. It will help you with the rumination, or what we also refer to as the monkey mind. Now, the monkey mind is a very common terminology that has been used several times. What is the monkey mind? The monkey mind is the constant mental chatter of a restless mind. That is compared to a restless monkey jumping from branch to branch, always on the move, and And if you relate it to your mind, it's like constantly having one thought after the other without any gaps, any pauses, anything to process in between. What is an example of a monkey mind? Your mind reading off a list to do items, listing all the fears constantly, real and imaginary, feeling judged or judging in the present moment, being, creating a lot of what if scenarios. What will happen if this happens? What will happen if that happens? So constantly not being in the present, not noticing, not observing what is in the now, but moving from one thought to the other, one experience to the other, and so on. Okay, so that's your monkey mind. How do you tame the monkey mind? And this is very interesting for you as well as for your children. You understand that what is going on that is causing you to think a certain way. Okay, so what is that activating event, as we call A? So what is it that happens? So suddenly you started to work. Now the monkey mind has gotten active and said, oh, no, 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 not this. I need to do something else. So basically, when you've chosen to focus on something, the mind has started to tell you that, no, you need to do this also. You need to do this. Or why are you doing this right now? It should be done by somebody else. So on and so forth. What is the quality of thought that's coming, that is giving momentum to this monkey mind, is that your mind starts interpreting what's happening based on your beliefs. So if the beliefs are that I am always stressed, if the belief is that nothing comes easy to me, if the belief is nobody cares about me, then all the consequences of all those thoughts is going to make you feel a certain way. So if someone has just come and given you something, being in the present would mean, okay, this is what has come to me and this is what I am choosing to do right now. The beliefs, depending on how you are, if you feel it's supportive, would be like, amazing, I'm going to go through this because it's for the good of everything. If the belief is a very negative one, I'm always overloaded, everyone makes me do, you're going to start going in a negative consequence. So it's important to understand that when a thought comes, can you just take it for what it is in that moment rather than constantly moving into another thing. A great way, if you habitually have a habit of constantly thinking too much, get into a journaling practice. So every day what you can do is basically take some time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever amount of time that you can dedicate, and let your monkey mind know. So literally tell your mind that in this moment I'm giving you 15 minutes to think of whatever it is that you need to think. Something that happened 10 years back, something that I'm contemplating about 20 years forward, something that needs to be done on the weekend, something that needs to be done today evening, something that I've been skipping on doing every day and I remind myself to do it every day. Everything that comes to your mind, bring it to your awareness and make a note of those thoughts till the time that you literally feel there's nothing more that's really coming up. Now that you have given the monkey mind the freedom to do this, then through the day you can reflect back when the same thought comes that, okay, I've already dealt with it and I'm going to choose to be in my present moment. So great exercise for children. I work with a lot of children and this journal practice really helps them because children are very, very receptive. They may not show it, but many a times they are very receptive to practices that can actually give them some sort of peace and calm. Okay, certain steps towards happiness through mindfulness. Step one, observe the trigger and stop attaching meaning to it, which we just discussed right now. Don't think about why it's happening, where it's coming from, who's benefiting, who's not. Just observe the trigger and stop attachment and say, okay, this trigger made me feel like that. I choose to be in the present right now. Change your perception from being a victim to being an observer. Simply observe everything for what it's happening. React from the power of the present moment, because in the present moment everything is absolutely fine. Observe your thoughts, observe your feelings, observe your emotions, and do not judge or be critical in that moment to yourself. And the thing is that you will have to practice this yourself before you can expect your children to practice this. Okay, and then use your choice in that moment to change whatever it is that you're looking for. This is the same exercise, but I had put it for children. If you want to get into more and more exercises, go with these certain aspects of listening ears, quiet mind, happy hearts, um, get into exercises of mindful listening. So depending on, it doesn't matter how old the child is. I do this with my teenager clients. I do this with even some children who have a lot of attention issues, ADHD, ADD, work a lot with them as well in short spurts to help them understand how they can be more in the present moment. So get into mindful listening. Put a 1 minute timer and ask your child, or you can play this along with them. Great game to play with children. List down all the sounds that you can hear in this 1 minute, and you'll be surprised what all sounds your kids can pick up in that moment of time. So many sounds that you may not have been even aware are there. Things like a small scratch, something falling, the traffic outside, water pipes. Amazing results you will get, and it helps them to be in the present, because if you have to observe what's going on around you, your awareness cannot be ruminating, and when your awareness is 100% in the moment, you will pick up a lot more from it. Okay. Second, so this is the exercise. If I was working with kids, this is the exercise we would have done right now. Then you do the same thing with your eyes. So close your eyes and close your eyes and then listen, and then open your eyes and then listen. The distraction with the opened eyes is always far more. So you will notice that when your eyes are closed and you're in a space of stillness, you will hear a lot more sounds. When your eyes are open, it's easier to get distracted. Okay, so you teach them that difference and then help them to tap into a still mind when they can observe better. Teach them breath work. Okay, a cleansing breath is anytime you are feeling very flustered, stressed, angry, anything negative, you can simply teach your children to breathe in through the nose and exhale from the mouth. So just breathing in through the nose and then exhaling from the mouth. Then we do mindful seeing. Okay, again, great exercise. List down all the colors. You ask them to observe the room first. Okay, just ask them to look around the room, then close their eyes. Notice what they have in their mind, and then open their eyes and then list down all the colors, all the shapes, everything that they saw, and then write it down. Okay, you will be again surprised that how in the same place, if you do the exercise on a repeated period of time, after a couple of times, the amount of things they can pick up is going to be far more than when they started off initially, because their power of observation, their power of focus is going to get that much stronger. Okay. One more breathing exercise that you can help your children with, and this really helps with kind of calming them down, helping them to feel more stabilized, more harmonious in themselves, is belly breathing. So you make them to kind of sit up or lie down, ask them to keep their body relaxed, their arms relaxed, their feet relaxed, and guide them through that, because what we make them experience is what they will experience at the end of the day. Okay, and then ask them to think about their own breathing. Ask them to put one hand on the chest and one hand on their abdomen, and then to breathe in and out slowly 3 times, and not to move the chest. Okay, and then notice how they start focusing, and notice whether the chest was moving, whether the abdomen was moving, and then taking a deep breath into the abdomen and just feeling the abdomen expand in front of them like a balloon, and the chest at that time should be very still. So help them through this, and that can help them. Anybody who wants these exercises, we can always share them with you. Okay, so yeah, these are the exercises that you can kind of share with them. This will allow them to be more and more compassionate. It will allow them to be more in the present moment. It will allow them to go through their own difficulties. Many a times as adults, it's easy to kind of make their issues insignificant by saying that's not a big deal. But for the child who is in the present moment struggling with something, whether it is social anxiety, whether it is bullying, whether it is just as we call shy, any of these experiences, it's a huge deal for them. So rather than making it dilute or rather than pushing it under the carpet, if we help them to be mindful about these emotions and be kind towards themselves as they go through these emotions, it's going to be extremely helpful for them to regulate these emotions as they become adults and go into their lives as they go on. Okay, couple of things that you can do with your children. One I mentioned is a lot of breath work. So help them to focus on their breath. They can do cleansing breath. They can do mindful breathing. They can do the exercise we did where we just kind of focus on the breathing. They can do a lot of specific poses from yoga, like the tree pose. They can do the child's pose and then stay in those poses for at least 1 minute each so that they can kind of understand and go through the entire experience. Help them to meditate, help them to have a body awareness. One of the key things in mindfulness programs that we work with is body awareness and breath regulation and emotional regulation. Okay, mindful breathing, emotional awareness, and body awareness. So move from the feet towards the head. Okay, so ask them to focus on their feet, hold the awareness there, tap into any sensation there,
Yeah.
texture. Did anyone say anything? Okay. No, something went. Okay, no worries. So yeah, help them through that. Get into go through the entire body like that, from the feet all the way up to the crown. Work on visualization, storytelling. Help them to be fully present through concentration, and that's going to really, really help them with whatever they've done. The goal is, of course, kind thoughts, kind speech, kind intentions. This is just something you can do. When you sleep with a certain vibration, you wake up with a certain vibration. And like Dr. Remoto told us, the kind of intentions we put in, that's how our energy is and that's how our activities are. So what are the affirmations? I am strong, I'm determined. In the morning, you tell your children, I am capable, I can get through anything, I am amazing. So boost their confidence with certain affirmations. Affirmations play a huge role. At night before sleeping, instill gratitude, help them to be accepting of their body, help them to overcome whatever it is they went through. So affirmations, mindful affirmations at night is a great idea as well. One amazing practice that you can do with children, again, any age at night, is working with the fingers. Okay, so before sleeping, a lot of kids find it hard to fall asleep. So help them work through the thumb through all the four fingers. So something as simple as peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. They can use both their fingers and keep chanting, peace begins with me. You can customize this chant to whatever is appropriate for them, but it's a great technique to instill being present, being mindful in that moment for them. And to wrap it up, this is a simple, not 12 minute. The 12 minutes for the adult. For the children, I've only kept it 5 minutes. So 1 minute of breathing, which you can do cleansing. 1 minute of mindfulness, which is like the calming factor. 2 minutes of visualization. So help them visualize their day. Help them visualize as the most strong versions of themselves. Help them visualize them as leaders, as winners, as champions, whatever it is that you want to instill in them as great human beings, as loved human beings. Give, make them visualize what it feels like. And 1 minute of affirmations, the affirmations that I just shared, and just a simple 5 minute schedule daily can make a remarkable difference if it is done for minimum 21 days on a daily basis. So yeah, that is what I have. If you have any questions, if anyone has, feel free to answer, or we can wrap the entire thing. Do let me know if you have anything here. I guess not. Okay, then thank you very much for joining, and I hope this made sense to you. Thank you, Mercy. Thank you very much. And yeah, I do. And if you have any questions, feel free to email it to us. Our team is already in touch with the company. So any questions or if any more clarifications or tools you need, we'll be happy to share that with you. So I guess we can wrap up the session since we don't have any questions. Thank you so much for taking out the time and for joining.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Barty. Thank you.
Thank you.